Coming dropped in early access on the 17th, and I picked it up thinking it was cool. While some of the component parts of it aren't completely my bag, it's a roguelike of the auto-battler variety. I've never really liked auto-battlers because interactivity is the main focus, and removing that seems antithetical to what makes video games. But there's a lot of other stuff that has me going all, I'm keeping an eye on your development with great interest. So I'll be spending some time this fine morning talking about the initial early access release for He Is Coming. So let's get started, shall we? The main narrative of He Is Coming is that in ancient times, humans and demons were constantly at war with one another for the crown, an artifact of unimaginable power. When the crown falls into the possession of the Demon King, he uses its power to subjugate humanity until he is slain by a lone human knight. This is followed by generations of peace after the crown is sealed underground. The Demon King returns, having reclaimed his lost crown and learning from his prior defeat, sends out his forces to slay would-be heroes who would stand against him. Ready or not, he is coming. And that right there is the narrative hook for He Is Coming. And I gotta say, I appreciate the old school approach they took with it. It feels like something out of a pulp paperback fantasy novel from the 1970s that takes a lot of inspiration from Lord of the Rings. And it also serves as something of a decent narrative justification for why the game was a roguelike to begin with. The Demon King was taken down by a lone knight because he underestimated him. And he's now sending out his forces to take care of any would-be heroes before they can become a threat because he doesn't want to get got a second time. You are, in essence, playing as the multitude of wannabe adventurers and heroes, thinking they're hot shit when they clearly aren't. And I love that as a framing device. It lends a sense of danger to the proceedings that are enough to get me into it. That, along with the presentation, do a lot of heavy lifting that the gameplay can kind of slack on, even though it's the beginnings of early access, and it actually has some promise associated with it. Now, before I get into this, I need to preface by saying that He Is Coming is an early access game. Like, came out 2 weeks ago at the time of publication kind of early access game. When I was getting footage and generally playing on the release week, it had around 4 patches in 5 days. It's that kind of early access release. The kind where you are actively seeing the plane being built mid-flight. What kind of plane? I mean, game are we talking about? Well, He Is Coming is an RPG auto-battling roguelite. And the middle third is where I usually have a contention when included because the thing that makes games unique as both art and entertainment is the interactivity of it all. Removing that would be like removing the jump button in a Mario game. I mean, yeah, you could do it, but the experience is poorer for it, and you just introduced a bunch of design problems that the thing you removed was in place to implicitly fix. But weirdly enough, He Is Coming sidesteps that kind of issue by making the exploration the key gameplay. In He Is Coming, the basic structure is that you start out from your home and have 3 days and 3 nights to get as much exploring done as humanly possible before one of the bosses comes stalking you on the 3rd night for a fight. Bars. And everything in these maps is randomized to boot, from encounters to enemy placements to merchants to even the bonfires you can use to speed through the night and get your health back for all the fights that you're going to be doing. And there are a lot of fights and factors associated with those fights. Because combat has the 4 basic stats of health, damage, armor, and speed. All of these are self-explanatory, and the first combatant to have their health drop to 0 loses. But what's interesting about combat is the fact that combat is effectively a test of how well you've optimized your build. And this is shown from the fact that there are a lot of enemies that have modifiers for specific status effects, higher tier enemies that have abilities like regenerating health or ignoring armor, and in the case of boss fights, it can come down to a DPS race, and if you don't got a solid idea in mind, you are going to die. And speaking of bosses, there are over 30 of the jerks in the current build, and all of them are terrifying. Especially the final bosses of each run. The Leshen, which you are seeing me fight right now, has 2 goddamn forms to fight, and the Swamp Hydra that has multiple goddamn phases. To look back to the exploration real quick, the main way that He Is Coming introduces the challenge is through set environments. The woodlands are cramped and sprawling at the same time, with lots of turns and long stretches that, when combined with the enemy placements and the monsters chasing you at night, make for some great chases and ambush moments. The swamps that are unlocked after killing the Leshen change things up by being a set of islands that you go to that give specific items, weapons, and gear. Another challenge with the swamps is that bonfires are less plentiful, so you need to plan things accordingly so you won't get got. And this is where we see the main inspiration threads poking in. You know, your Angbans, your Morias, and most importantly, Rogue. It takes a more streamlined approach to those, obviously. You have a permanent catalog of weapons and items that you gain through unlocks for doing things like defeating bosses, meeting specific requirements like overhealing, and more. My first winning build was just stacking items that gave me health regeneration and in-between turn healing, and it was so goddamn powerful that I got an achievement for it. I love it. You also find out in the world, traveling merchants, fairies that can change items to other items as long as they're of the same rarity, golems that can fuse two of the same item together, cauldrons for mixing food items, and heroes' graves that contain mythic tier items. Because why let a little grave robbing get in the way of a good crusade? The swamps have a good mix of this as well, but instead have the individual islands you go to being dedicated to the drops of the different varieties I mentioned. I'm not joking when I say that He Is Coming is jam-packed with these variables, because in my first play session, I blinked and 3 hours had passed. That's how I can tell I'm really into something. The time blindness kicks in, and in the last few days, I've clocked in around 8 hours in 2 sittings. That's dangerous, and it's a testament to the strength of the foundation in He Is Coming's early access release so far. Oh, and before I forget, there's also a speed feature for when you want combat to resolve quicker, or you just want to conclude battles altogether. There's a lightning mode that auto-resolves combat. It doesn't work on bosses, presumably because the developer wants to give you false hope when it comes to the boss encounters. It's mean, but I appreciate it when I do win. But at the same time, with only 2 biomes available in a really good but kinda underbaked asynchronous multiplayer mode, you tend to start seeing repeats of things after a certain point. But what's here is pretty sweet. I gotta talk about the presentation because I like that quite a bit as well. He Is Coming has a very compelling pixel-based art style. The main combat screen feels a lot like the NES Final Fantasy games to me for some reason, and I can't articulate why that is. But like I mentioned in the narrative section at the beginning, He Is Coming is very much a love letter / send-up to the pulp fantasy novels of the 1970s. And it's shown with all of the enemies going from basic wildlife to straight-up wizards, mythological creatures, dark knights, folklore monsters, etc. It's kind of wild. And there's one thing I want to talk about, and it's tone. I know I don't usually bring this up, but I like that He Is Coming treats everything as this gravely serious, end-of-the-world type shit, because in universe, it is. But it takes itself so seriously that it kind of loops around to being kinda cheeky. I don't know, maybe it's just me being weird, but I love the absolute commitment to the bit. The music is also pretty good. It uses the limited soundscape of the hardware it's trying to evoke, mainly the NES, to establish a harsh and oppressive atmosphere. It goes a long way to showing off how fucked up this world is, and what the Demon King's oppression is like. You got travelers scared for their lives, wildlife gone feral, and old sages talking in hushed tones on some of the greater threats you encounter. It's all really well done, and it makes me super excited for the additions and improvements the developer makes in future updates. He Is Coming makes for a damn good first impression. It's a pretty good roguelike that, while mechanically simple, uses its aesthetics and narrative to really drive home the makings of a dark fantasy epic. I don't know where the roads are going to take this one, but I am definitely keeping my eye on it. Grab your armor, weapon, and shield and make haste, intrepid heroes, for He Is Coming. And that'll be it for this week's video. Thank you very much for watching until the end. If you liked it, hit the like button, and if you really like this video and want to see more like it, subscribe, because I have other roguelike videos on this channel as well. Thank you for your time, and have a great weekend, everyone.